Welcome back to our next episode of the Flicks Forum podcast with Jesse, Heater and MJ. In this week's episode, we're looking at Netflix's 27th film, the 2017 comedy thriller, I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. It's directed by Macon Blair, stars Melanie, Lynskey, Elijah Wood, David Yao, Jane Levy and Devon, Graye. Hello, fellow hosts,
hey
co-hosts.
Mate. How are you?
Good, how are we going?
Very, very good.
Good to be together again to do another episode.
Always.
So, we always kick off our show with a quick fast flicks where we do a quick summary of the film and go around the table, and MJ is going to kick us off today.
Awesome. A quirky, direction-changing indie flick about Ruth, who thinks all people are arseholes. Sick of falling through societal cracks, Ruth teams up with her bordering psychopathic neighbour Tony to track down a burglar who broke into her house, and the mismatched pair eventually find that they've clearly bitten off more than they can chew.
Beautiful.
Good summary.
Peter.
All right. After a woman has her house robbed, she's not satisfied with how the police handle the case. She decides to take matters into her own hands with the help of her eccentric neighbour.
Nice. I've gone... A woman struggling to come to terms with the nastiness of the world decides to take a stance and make people accountable, especially those who have wronged her.
Yeah.
Done and dusted. Yeah, I think we all pretty much talking about the same sort of stuff.
All pretty similar.
It's all very similar.
We all watch the same film.
Concept, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm glad we watched the same film. The length of the title would suggest there aren't too many films with the same title for this
Hey,
one.
I found on IMDb it says this movie has a full stop at the end of the title as well. Did you notice that? But I can't find it on like the poster or anything.
There was a lot of stylized stuff as well, where there was all lowercase letters.
Yeah, I saw pretty much the whole title was supposed to be in lowercase.
Lowercase.
Yeah, which is
if you look
weird.
at IMDb, it's got a full stop at the
After.
end. At the end
Interesting.
of the title. I think I've ever really seen that.
So there's that.
Good title,
Maybe
though.
that's deliberate to say that's the end of her story. She doesn't feel at home.
Don't
in it.
feel at
Yeah.
home in this movie.
Full stop. That's the end of the story.
I also love how many times she says people are assholes. I think everyone can relate to that.
Yeah. So we always like to have a little bit of a research or a little look into the background of the film. What have we worked out from this film? What did we learn? Heater?
Premiered at Sundance 2017 Film Festival and did pretty well there. Won the Grand Jury Prize.
It did, and I think Netflix would have been very happy because they purchased the rights before it won that award too, which is good.
Yeah.
I was looking for that. Is that the case, is it? Because I was trying to find when Netflix purchased the rights.
They purchased it before it was at Sundance, so they would have been very happy that it went on to win.
Awesome. Yeah, good get.
Yeah. I think I had a look at the production company behind this film, XYZ Films, and I saw that at the start, and I was like, I've seen that before. And so this is the fourth film we've looked at that was being produced by XYZ Films. Wow. So they did Mercy, they did Ark, and they did iBoy as well.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty
Obviously,
interesting.
Pretty close with the Netflix team as well at the moment.
Yeah. The director, Macon Blair, so he has a cameo in the film.
Yeah.
So he's the guy who spoils the book in the bar for Ruth. And did you read about how he was inspired for this story?
It basically happened to him.
It did. Someone broke into his apartment, took his laptop, and the police did nothing. So.
Yeah,
so
it's a
it's
very
inspiration.
relatable.
Oh, it is.
thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think it's a pretty common, or not common, but it would happen to more people than you think, is a crime happens to them and they're not happy with kind of it was handled, and they're like, well, what do I do about this now?
Take it into your own hands.
I kind of like it when the cops were leaving her house and Ruth was like, are you going to like seriously look at it? Like, because that's true. Like, no one ever asks that, but everyone's just like thinking that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This was his first film as director.
He's acted in a few things.
Yeah, and I think he'd written 2 shorts, and it was his second feature film as a writer. He's gone on and written a few more movies after this, but yeah, his first time being the director.
What a familiar story.
He was super nervous about that, though. I think he was excited by the fact that, you know, when you sell your script, you kind of resign to the fact that someone else is going to do something with your work, and, you know, it is what it is. And with this, I think he was excited by the fact that, you know, he can do whatever he wants, but he also got pretty nervous at the fact that it's all on me if it doesn't go well.
He was gave a glowing review basically of Netflix and how they handle themselves and how they let him have the creative control, which is something we've heard so many times, I guess, with the movies in this podcast, that he was so happy that they're pretty much like, just go with what you want.
Yeah, you're not listening to a previous episode. This is a new episode.
It happens so often, doesn't it? Now it's, I guess, what attracts people to go with him.
He also said that he wasn't sure if he was ever going to get a chance to direct a film again, so he just wanted to put everything that he'd thought about in
the one film.
just to make sure, because he's like, I might not ever get a chance to write a comedy, I might not get a chance to write a romantic film, direct a romantic film, so I'm just going to put everything in. But he like the whole tone of the film is really fun, so he's done a really good job there.
He did.
The consensus, it's got a pretty positive...
It really does.
Yeah, got a lot of positive reviews.
89% on Rotten Tomatoes off 61 reviews.
Good score.
The audience was on 77% on over 4,500,
That's
which is pretty good. And then IMDb is at 6.9 as well, so that's on nearly...
And the Letterboxd was 3.4 out of 5 as well.
Very high.
Yeah.
Extremely high.
To your point, nearly 38,000 ratings on IMDb and 28,000 on Letterboxd.
Yeah, so
we've done films that it's like 1,000.
Yeah.
Even less than that sometimes. So.
I actually didn't know about this film before I'd watched it.
No, me neither.
But I also did see on my Letterboxd that some of my friends had already seen it, so it must have it must have had some sort of traction when it came out. Obviously, winning an award at Sundance helps, but
winning the grand jury prize,
and the fact that it released a month after Sundance as well, like Netflix didn't screw around.
Yeah,
they were like, let's get it on
straight into it. Yeah,
you mentioned it won a few awards as well,
Yeah.
other than just Sundance, which is pretty impressive. What did you have here?
So won the Austin Film Award at the Austin Film Critics Association, and also won the Golden Trailer at the Golden Trailer Awards. Did you guys watch the trailer?
No, I was going to say, I don't read too much into trailer awards.
Obviously, I didn't watch the trailer beforehand, but because I won this, I watched the trailer after the movie.
I actually probably should have done that.
Good trailer.
Yeah.
It was good. It was really good.
Did it look funny?
Yeah, it did look funny.
Yeah. It got nominated for a lot of other awards as well. The Gotham Awards, Horror Awards, Best Independent Film nomination. So
the Melanie Lynskey got nominated for an acting award as well.
Yeah,
That's fair.
yeah, well, yeah. She did a pretty good job, I'd say, in this film. So it's filmed in Portland, Oregon, from what I could see.
Yeah, filmed in Portland.
Did notice a few product
Beautiful
placements.
location.
Very beautiful product. They were drinking
What were your
Coors
products?
beer the whole time. I was like, oh, it made me thirsty.
You lucky Coors beer too.
I don't mind it. Don't mind it for it's not my top 10, but I can knock them back pretty easily. It's like drinking water. It's great.
I feel like a lot of American beers are like that.
Yeah. Anything else, or do you want to talk about some characters?
Yeah.
Let's go. MJ, hit us up with your characters. What?
Well, I liked. So let's talk about Ruth. Obviously,
Yep.
The main character, the film. I think one of the main things that is poignant about her is that she's clearly depressed, and depression is going to become a main theme of the film, which is an interesting way that they treat her depression in this film, because you're watching a film called I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, and your first 10 minutes you're seeing this lady who's just genuinely got no faith in people.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that they do still have a little bit of fun with it, and they play with the notion that it's a super relatable thing for people to not like other people, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
As much as we want to admit it, like just generally you look at someone and go, I don't like that person, and that's just a human thing. But I kind of like that she found that sort of meaning and assertiveness by taking matters into her own hands, and I think that scene where she literally doesn't take shit from people anymore by not taking that shit that's in her yard was a really fun way of showing it. So she's a really strong character in the end, but like tricky and multi-layered.
Yeah, and Melanie Lynskey did a great job, I thought, with her performance. Really good.
You're talking about how that scene where she picks up the dog shit and turns around. I really liked that, and I like the scene prior to it where she wakes up on that couch and the kid has drawn her this Stegosaurus picture, and it's like she's like, okay, I love that, because that's what I'm going to be now. I'm going to be like this big dinosaur who's going to stand up for myself and go.
I effing love it.
Yeah, she did. I didn't want to say that because I was like, I want to try and keep the clean rating on our podcast.
It's already sworn a couple of times. It's fine. You can say it.
Before we go any further, before we ruin any more of the film, we've only just tipped into the very start of the film. But if you haven't seen this film and you do want to see this film, we are going to go pretty deep into it and spoil it.
We'll definitely spoil it.
So watch the film first, then come back to us, because it's going to be pretty... I can just sense... I'm looking at Heater and Jesse, and I can just sense it's going to be a pretty good conversation today.
Yeah, I agree. So we spoke about Ruth.
Yeah.
I think when you talk about her, you got to talk about Tony too.
It's 100%.
Their chemistry.
Loved Tony.
Yeah, their chemistry was great, and I think that he was sort of that light comic relief that you needed, like you said, from her down and dark sort of out sort of character, and he was sort of like they bounced really well off each other. I thought,
Elijah Wood was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought he was fantastic.
I thought like he was straight up too. Like whatever she asked him, he was honest. Like as soon as she has a go at him about the dog droppings on the lawn, like he's like, I'm embarrassed about that. I'm sorry. He's like, you ask for help, I get things done. And towards the end of the film where Ruth steals these
the lawn tiger. It's
and,
not your lawn tiger.
No, and he was upset, and he's like, they weren't the ones that robbed. You've done something wrong to someone that didn't deserve it, so you shouldn't have done it. So I really liked the comparison between the two. Like he was sort of there to like keep her in line almost.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely.
that.
Which is funny because he's like pretty crazy.
He's nuts. He's nuts.
He does have this, idea of what's good and what's bad.
Yeah.
So he's happy to, throw his bloody
his ninja stars
into the wall and throw them at people, but but don't steal their lawn tiger.
Yeah,
they have nothing
exactly.
to do.
I think also
Nice
when Ruth first approaches him and she tells him what's happened, and he like slams down the table. He's like, I'm so annoyed. So
Didn't even have
that happens. Yeah, he was so angry that would have even happened to someone else as well.
He's genuinely irate.
Yeah, he's furious.
Yeah,
and I love the fact that his dog's name's Kevin. Kevin.
Well, we're talking about dogs. Do we have a dog update?
So
I had to ask. We have to ask.
This was a funny one because the fact that there was a dog in this film for quite a bit made it tricky for me to navigate. So Todd was in the room. My dog Todd was in the room with me like the entire film. Often like sort of playing with his toy and stuff. And whenever Kevin was on the screen, I tried to like keep Todd occupied or like keep my foot in front of his face. So he actually did pretty well because Kevin barking was obviously always going to be an issue, but a lot of the other scenes, Todd wasn't actually watching this one. But it's definitely, if you've got a dog that barks at dogs,
what are dogs in this movie?
can happen in this movie.
There's only one sort of character that I didn't really like, I think, and it was that old dude at that trash and treasure sort of place. Like
creepy was he?
He was very creepy. I think it was called the Killer Sills or something, was where they went. And he was creepy, but I sort of felt bad for him at the same time because... And I didn't know whether that's my fault because I'm too trusting and like maybe he is a bad guy because he's making profit off people's stolen things that are being resold. But I was like, Ruth stole from him and then got whacked across the face. And I was like, we only saw this guy for a small amount of time, but did he really deserve that? Like,
I definitely think he knows he's getting stolen goods.
Stuff.
Not to mention, Tony's got a good moral compass.
Yeah.
So if he's going to hit him, he's doing it for the right reason.
But didn't Ruth smack him with the box as well, like in the face? Accident. I know it was an accident, but I was like,
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of feel bad for him, but I also think he knows exactly what he's doing in selling those things.
that was the only sort of thing I could think of. I was like, I felt a bit bad for that guy.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I liked I didn't like the cop, but I liked the portrayal of the cop and how he was kind of like, there's all these other things to do. He's got his divorce hanging. He's kind of like the whole world's crumbling around him. He can't search for this laptop that's missing.
It's sort of like we've looked at a lot of films in this collection we've looked at where the cops are portrayed or security people are portrayed like really poorly and done poorly, whereas this guy, you get the idea that he's not a great cop, but you sort of have a bit more feeling towards him and understand. He's a bit more real.
He's trying his best.
Oh, that scene might come back in later.
Ooh.
Negative parts of the film. He was alright. Even the main villain, let's call him main villain, even though he got hit by a bus, but he kind of Christian sort of set up as the main villain. Till he gets hit by a bus.
I liked when he got hit by the bus. I thought
so did I.
Was good.
Like you're like
coming up in my scenes.
And then you'll find out that obviously the other guy's pretty bad too.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they set up this bad guy. The first scene you see him is him having a shit on top of the toilet.
Yeah.
That's automatically you're like, I don't like this guy.
Yeah.
This is a bad guy.
He's a dick.
I really liked that scene because it was done so well where you've got Ruth and Tony having this like fun. They've saved the laptop and having this dance.
Partying,
They're having a party. They're drinking. They're having a dance, and like the camera sort of panned across like the screen to like her mold of the footprint, and then it literally just transitioned across to him on the toilet, and you could see that it was exactly the same shoes. So I liked that they just revealed who that person was, and now we're going to see what he's like. I thought that was really good.
Some really nice editing in this film.
I thought that was really cool. Any other characters, or do you want to talk like comparisons, or any other actors that we think could have been alright? Or
to be honest, for a guy who's having his directorial debut for a film that's on Netflix, he's done pretty well to get Elijah Wood as
Elijah Wood's a good get.
Yeah, as one of your main actors in this film. We probably haven't seen as many Hollywood stars in the first his 27th Netflix film.
But the main female, Melanie, she's pretty well known as well.
Yeah,
I've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
she was my IMDb. It was driving me crazy.
Me too.
She's the crazy chicken fly of the Concords.
Oh no, she's a crazy chicken 2.5
In 2.5
Men. Sorry, 2.5 Men. Yeah, sorry. 2.5 Men.
Yeah, she's Ruth.
Yeah, she's the one that chases Charlie.
The neighbour from 2.5 Men.
Yeah, sorry.
that was me too. Like the movie starts and I'm like, I know you.
Yeah.
Who the hell are you? I know exactly who you are.
And I'm like, no, you're none of these things.
You're in like so many things. I'm like, I haven't seen any of these things. And then
2.5 Men and been like, oh well, no, not 2.5 Men.
Yes.
And then I realised it was
Well, on your IMDb, I went on and I was like, I didn't really want to look anyone up, so I just went through the cast list of the characters' names, and there was a guy on there whose character's name was Donkey Dick.
Yeah.
The bald guy who was like selling the guns to them out of the van. And his actual character name was Donkey Dick.
He's in like a 1 minute scene. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure his name, but that's what he calls him.
Yeah.
That's what he calls him. Yes, and that's what he's listed.
He actually calls him that. Oh,
yeah. He calls him Donkey Dick in the movie.
I was just like, wow.
Oh, that's right. He talks about his mum. And
yeah. I thought that was quite funny.
So, did you have other ideas then on who you thought could have been in the movie?
No, I thought it was cast pretty well.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh damn! I thought you were going somewhere.
Oh no, just because he asked, I was I thought
he was going.
Yeah, I thought Jesse was asking for a reason. I'm like, oh,
I don't think you could have asked for much more from everyone that was in it. Really, like they all did a good job.
And I definitely bought Elijah Wood as that like absolute nutcase weirdo. Like
so good.
I was so in on him being that. I'm like, yeah, I can definitely see that.
When we spoke about the cast list before this episode, like last week, and when I saw Elijah Wood, I was like, good. I'm looking forward to this because he's so versatile. He can do so much. And I think he was awesome in this. So look at some scenes, I guess. What scenes stood out to you, Heater?
Oh, I got a few.
Good.
I'll keep going with Elijah Wood. I loved the scene where they confront the people in the house with a laptop.
Yep.
And he's just got no idea what to do with his weapons. He's trying to kind of pull off that he's like this, martial arts fighter master. He pulls out his kung fu sticks and the guy just takes them off him straight away. And when he gets in the house, he just kind of throws the ninja star sideways. I just love that he tried to come off of this, but just had no idea what to do with his weapons. It was hilarious.
I laughed out loud when he smacked the guy in the face. That's it. I was just like, that was so good.
I laughed out loud when he pulled the star out of the wall. And said, that's how hard I threw it.
It took him a while to get it out, didn't it?
I also like that scene where, like towards the end, where Ruth closes the laptop, walks off, and then has to go back. She's like, "Oh, I need the charger too." I thought that was great.
I'll be honest. The first 40 minutes of this film, I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in
obviously
there.
It changed tone and kind of even moved a little bit out of the comedic side of things. But it was so funny, genuinely funny.
Yeah.
I was having a ball watching it.
I mean, it was disgusting, but I love the old guy breaking her finger. And you seeing that? Jesus Christ, what the hell was that?
I got that in my scenes I didn't like.
I like that
just
one.
for the grossness.
See that coming.
When they first go to Christian's parents' house, and the dad gets home with his personal bodyguard, and he's running around every single room in the house yelling out, "Clear, clear, clear." I love that. That was great.
I liked that follow-on from that scene too, where they pull the gun on him and Tony just drops the coffee mug everywhere. That was a really good.
She spends the whole time trying to get the coffee out of the rush.
There was a good one. So when you're going into kind of that shop in the junkyard where got the stolen stuff, they walk past a toy rocking horse. It's a bright yellow rocking horse, and on it is a sign that says "Not a real horse." That's great.
Good attention.
That was great.
Good attention to detail. Anything else?
I like the scene of just of Ruth creating that mixture and the process of her getting the shoe print
Yeah,
out of the wall.
I had that down as well.
I thought that was done really well and was really clever. Looked really good.
Yeah,
And, like,
I wouldn't have thought of that.
Watching her go to the shop, buying the
Yeah.
cement or whatever it is. Yeah, I thought that was cool too.
I got some more. You want to jump in?
I think you're on a roll here.
Yeah, keep going.
I burst out with laughter when Christian got hit by the bus. I actually burst out with laughter.
Oh, I didn't laugh because I was surprised.
That's why I was so surprised when I just burst out. That was great. I really like the shootout at the end, kind of in that house with Ruth throwing up when the guy gets her hand. You've got off. It cuts her arm off and there was a lot of vomit there. Like there was a lot of vomit going.
I've got Ruth vomiting with blood continuously. Yeah, I love it.
And then I can't remember the girl's name, but she cops the ninja star in the cheek. Fantastic.
I didn't write
You've got a lot of the same ones I've got. I'm loving it.
The only other one I've got as well, I thought the soundtrack was great.
Oh, I wrote that down.
The
as
music
well.
and the songs throughout this film, I thought were fantastic.
That was in my film takeaways. I loved the country music in it. Real nice, homely feel to it. Just, I think that was just something that I personally enjoyed.
Yeah, I thought the soundtrack was great.
Good, MJ?
Well, I'll give you this. Heath's again done a lot of the ones I did as well, but the scenes that I thought were really funny, I loved at the very, very start when that lady in the nursing home or in the place died, and then after she had that big racist rant, and then the lady goes, "Did she have any last words?" Because at that point, like, you don't know this is going to be like funny.
Yeah.
So they set that up really nicely, and then the bit where Ruth was talking about the violation that she felt when she got robbed to a child in bed. And the kid's just looking there like completely confused, and then she just starts crying.
She screams out for her mum.
Really, really, really funny. But the other scenes that I really liked, it was probably after that time where they were partying and they had their drinking, and then the sun was setting and they both sort of rest their heads on each other on that couch. And I think despite all the craziness, you realise in that moment that they kind of don't really have anyone. And regardless of everything else going on, it was nice for them just to be close to someone. And you definitely feel that throughout the rest of the film. But it kind of just brought me back a little bit, because as I was having so much fun with this film, it just showed me that there's just another layer to it, which I liked. And the last thing for me that stood out was when they do go to Christian's parents' house, how they framed them next to those massive lamps, and they just seemed so tiny, and they're trying to pretend to be cops, right? And they just, like, the director was really clever in letting you know that they're so far out of their depth, and you could just visually,
Feel that.
see it.
Yeah.
Like, it was really, really well done. But
It was also funny before that how long it took Ruth to get the police badge out of the cereal box.
Oh, yeah.
in the car park. It took her age. She couldn't find it. She was tipping the cereal everywhere before she actually found it.
So many little funny moments like that. Very, very clever.
So yeah, you guys have covered a lot of the stuff I had as well. I want to go. I go back right to the start of the film, that intro where she's sitting in the traffic in the car, and the radio talk was about mass shootings, hospitals, like riots, and then like you cut straight to this lady that is dying under her care. It sort of set, like, just within a couple of seconds, you had this awesome setting for what her world is like, and then you cut to her in the supermarket, and I really like the supermarket scenes where at the start you see, people are knocking stuff off the shelves as they walk by, and she picks it up and puts it back, and, she goes to a bar, a guy spoils the book for her, the dog craps on her lawn, just highlights how bad people are, like, straight away. The cops don't help her, and then, and then you follow through with the scenes later on where she doesn't care anymore. Like, she goes to the supermarket and she's like pushing through the lines, cutting to the front of the line. I liked those supermarket scenes. I thought they were really good.
Yeah.
There are a couple of scenes in her actual house where, so the first time when she's robbed, and then the second time when Christian's in the house, and the camera work, especially down that hallway, was awesome. Like, there's one where the camera's just focusing on the hallway and you're waiting to see what they're going to find, and you just see her grabbing the knife on, like, out of frame a little bit.
Yeah.
And they did that twice, like, really well. Like, they used that hallway just to sort of create that environment and that tone really well. So I really enjoyed those scenes. I liked towards the end when Tony and her, she's trying to get Tony into this boat to get across the lake, and I really like there's quick, nice little cuts, like he's hurt and she's doing it all, and you didn't need to see her, like, her dragging him in. It was just done nicely, and I think that sort of, like you spoke about before, the editing in this film throughout was like
really good.
on point. Last one, I liked the conclusion at the end where you see Ruth sitting back in the traffic like she was at the start of the film, and she goes back and she's making those beds in the hospital again. So even though she's had this sort of adventure or this whatever's happened to her, we still see that normality is still there at the end a little bit.
I think that's kind of the funny thing with this film is that normality, or is that what she was trying to get away from in the first place? Because you're talking about this person who's just genuinely not that happy with their life. And I think if Tony dies at the end, you sit there and go, oh, what the hell was the point of that? Like, yeah, you had this nice self-discovery and you went on a bit of a journey of finding out who you are, but you're back in the same position. I think that Tony being there at the end, as cheesy as it was nice.
So, like, I sat there at the end, and Tony at the end, you see him like cooking the barbecue, and he's got that smoke that sort of around him, and he's got like a crutch in his hand. So they're trying to make it that he's physically there, but it was like that trying to be left open to interpretation that maybe it was an illusion, like he had actually died.
I did read some stuff today.
Yeah, what did people say?
There was a few people. So because they thought that his face was kind of surrounded by a halo, I read.
Well, that's what it was supposed to look like initially. You turn around and think, oh, she didn't remember Tony. Oh, shit, he's actually there cooking the barbecue.
Yeah, I read quite a few things about that. I didn't pick that up when I was watching. I thought, okay, he's okay.
Yeah, busted, go for it.
Yeah.
Well, I got to go. Because this is one thing I liked about it was the Macon Blair, the director, basically came out and said he understands that the final scene was a bit cutesy, but he didn't want to kill off Tony.
Okay.
Good.
He mentioned how there was enough mayhem and craziness in that final 15 minutes to satisfy the needs of any genre movie, which is 100% true.
Absolutely right.
And he didn't want the emotional tone at the end for people walking out being like depressed and mournful. Like, okay, this is all well and good, but like, it sucks for her.
Yeah.
And you still walk out thinking, it was like, yeah, life's not awesome, but this was a bloody fun ride.
Yeah.
So he does literally say to me there was never any other option than for him to survive.
Okay.
And that Ruth might be, if not totally turned around, at least a little bit better off than when we first met her. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because I think I agree with your point. If Tony dies, she's in the exact same spot as she was at the start of the movie.
And that's what I thought was happening. I'm like, oh, this was like a really fun ride as an audience.
But then she's back in the same place and she hasn't moved anywhere if Tony's not there.
It's a hard way to end it too, because when Tony was there, I was like, that's a bit of a cliche. Yeah. But I was like, but you kind of needed it.
I'm just sitting here.
Come on, Jesse.
My thoughts are that at times I don't like it when directors come out and say, this is what I meant in a film, or this is what I
don't think it was ambiguous. Watching that, he was there. I was like,
I didn't think it was either.
And I'm just posing the question because it could have been that, and obviously he's proven this wrong, but it could have been that she'd rebuild that connection with her friend and the daughter and the husband, and they're happily, she's realised, I've got people I can lean on now. Tony's gone, but I realised I've got these friends I can actually lean on, and she's sitting there with them at the end, and he's just sort of there in the background as a reminder of her, hey, you've got these people to help you.
But when you watched the film, you didn't think that.
No, but you just mentioned before how you liked when they were on the couch leaning on each other. They've realised they've got someone.
Yep.
They've got someone for each other.
Yep.
And now, if he had have died, and he died, she's realised, okay, I can trust people. There are some okay people in the world, especially these people. Yeah. And maybe, Tony's been the one that's allowed her to do that, and that's why they have him in that scene at the barbecue, because he's reminding her, hey, you look at the people around you, they are there to help you. But obviously that's wrong, but that's, just how I thought it could have been read.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
That would have been a really nice way to do it. I think it would have.
Yeah.
The average cinema goer would have been like, "Huh? Why?
Yeah.
That sucks for her." But
but I don't get why they needed that ambiguity, of having the smoke around him and the halo and that sort of stuff.
I think that was meant to be like a last little cheeky laugh for you to be like, he's dead. Oh, that's really cheesy. He's in the sky. He's not dead. I honestly thought they wanted you to think that he was dead, and this is her looking at the clouds. And then you realise that he's there.
Yeah.
Which was him just having one last little bit of fun with the audience.
Yeah. No, it's good.
I like that.
Is there anything we didn't like?
That's the most scenes I reckon we've spoken about of positive
probably.
scenes. This is boding well for the film.
Is there anything that you didn't like?
there was one. Well, I didn't like it, but I think we've spoken about it before. It then goes well where Ruth steals the lawn tiger. I don't like it because it's not in her character. You know, she doesn't. You know, she's angry for people being dicks, and then she goes in and be a dick and takes this guy's lawn tiger. But then that sets up a great scene with Tony, kind of being that moral compass and telling her, no, you've done it wrong. So I'm really kind of conflicted if I didn't like the scene or not, because it starts off I didn't like it, but then without that, then you don't get the great Tony scene.
I don't think that was out of character for Ruth. I don't think she was like very much right or wrong as Tony. I think she was pretty reckless by that point.
I guess by that point, but I guess from the start, I'm not sure has she gone that full reckless yet by that point in the movie. Like she's picking up the thing that the food that falls off the aisles in the grocery store and thing like that.
I guess that's the point of her.
Yeah.
You know what? Bugger everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone's an asshole.
I didn't like. So the only things that I didn't like in it were maybe they were meant to be jokes and they just didn't hit well with me. That's the only thing I can think like that I could really think of. So when they go to buy the guns off the bad guys, buy those guns out of that, and the guy goes, "Oh, it smells like you've been sleeping in a van, like you stink." And then their response was, "Oh, it smells like pork chops because we just dropped your mum off." And I was like, bad joke. I didn't like that.
Yeah, you're well and you're right.
Yeah, and then the other one was towards the end where they're in the forest, Ruth and the guy, and he goes, "Oh, have you ever eaten cat meat?" And she goes, "Oh, you mean cat food?" And he goes, "No, cat meat. It makes you invisible." I was like, okay.
That was weird.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, it was a bit.
He was also a bit crazy, that guy.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was they're the only things that I was like, oh, I don't really get how they fit in, or if they're meant to be funny, or that was all it was.
I think that there was a couple of scenes, kind of at the start. There was one scene where Ruth's by herself, just kind of like swaying and dancing with her beer bottle by herself, and I want to say I didn't like that. It was just a bit slow when we just had like some like crazy enjoyment and jokes, and I was just kind of watching that going, no, let's go back to the fun stuff. Like, and I guess it's important to have it in there, but I was also wanting it to keep going with the fun stuff.
Yeah.
I mentioned the cop scene earlier. That scene with the cop at the police station where he kind of laid it all on the line. I hated the cliche of, if I came into your work and told you what to do. It's been done so many times, and that scene was sort of important for Ruth to continue on her path of being a vigilante. I wish they had this film was really unique, and I wish they had done something a little more. I was watching that going, no, you're better than this. You don't have to do this.
Yeah.
I know we spoke about it, but I hated the fact that he ruined the book for her. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Oh, it's so frustrating.
And it's good that later on when Tony's reading it, he's like, don't tell me what happens. Yeah. You shouldn't even have to say that. That's why I put spoiler alerts in our podcasts.
Correct. All right. What are some themes? I think there's a bit in this film. There's lots of stuff it's trying to say.
I saw an interview that the director, Macon Blair, did, and he said in an interview, the message of the movie is to not be a dick.
Yep.
For people not to be assholes.
Yeah. It's as the director said. He said it's as close as an overarching statement that I can make about society right now. It's the message of the movie. It's more relevant than ever.
There's a quote in the movie. What do you want for people not to be assholes?
Yeah,
that's the movie.
That's it.
So
mind you, the movie doesn't like make you not want to be an asshole. Like you don't sit there and go, you know what, I do behave badly sometimes, and people shouldn't live in a world where I behave badly.
I think like if you look into it a little bit further, there's hostility that people sort of encounter on their day-to-day lives, and the way that people treat each other may not be as nice as it could be.
I don't think it is at all. But I don't think it does a good job of making you not want to do that.
I want to do that. No.
Which I don't think was the point.
No, not the point. No, it's probably not. It's just highlighting that this is what our busy lives. This is how people treat each other. It's not necessarily a nice thing. The world's a mean place.
Even when she's knocking on doors saying I got robbed, everyone's just kind of like, I mean, like, what else would you do? But there's only one guy who's just like, God damn it.
Yeah. So obviously the film was dealing with her depression as well. So that's a big theme. It's like her breaking point, and she's had that, and then been able to go and try and change. Is change something that she amplified, or
definitely and it's a very conscious decision to make these changes, and it's not inspired by her mental health by any means.
No.
It's inspired by her wanting action.
Yeah,
but it does bring this assertiveness about her that she didn't have prior to that.
And I think like the scene towards the end where Christian, like she's in that house and he's like, oh, how much money do you want? I'll pay you off. But her payoff wasn't money or anything like that. She just wanted people to be nicer.
Yeah,
so
exactly,
So
yeah.
it didn't. So the payoff for her was to get people to respect each other a bit more.
For people to change.
Pretty bloody noble.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit that ordinary people can stand up and make a stance too.
100%.
Yeah,
It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's also like a revenge tinge to
yeah,
it as well.
definitely. Yeah. And that comes from her feeling violated. And she mentioned that a couple of words. She's like, I feel violated. I
Yeah.
feel violated.
She was saying that to
that's
the 3-year-old girl.
Yeah.
But that's, I don't know if you've ever been burgled, but that is
How you
100%
feel?
the one thing that you feel like, yeah, it sucks that you lose things, but you feel like dirty that someone's
Yeah,
in your house.
someone's in your
It's
house.
a shocking feeling. They captured that really well.
What do we take away from the film?
I think I kind of touched on this earlier, it did feel like two different films. I think it changed tone really quickly in about the 45-50 minute mark.
Started getting really violent.
Yeah.
But that's the
Real
thing.
quickly got really violent.
The fun comedic side of it almost ended.
Yeah.
And then it went
And
like,
then it went to violence.
this is like they got themselves in too deep, and this is kind of where we get to. And you know what? Initially that kind of bothered me a little bit, but the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, you know what, this is an ambitious film, and I'm happy that he did that. So I think Macon Blair called the film a soft-boiled crime movie. So it's basically a detective story, but everyone's sensitive and everyone's kind of easily frightened. So he wanted it to be sweet and sad.
Yeah.
Which again, you just don't see this in films.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
it's nice to see
good.
things that are different, and it works.
I thought it sort of had like this hipster sort of trendy sort of feel to me too. It was like a bit out there. And a lot of stuff I read was talking about like this is like a 90s film, like a very 90s sort of
I did read that
independent
too,
sort of
yeah.
film. Yeah,
It's very indie.
Yeah, very indie, very art
indie,
house. I recommend watching it. Yeah, anytime really.
Strong title too. I like the title. I like the long title.
Long title.
So in what case you do like a long title? In what case is a long title not good? And I'm not talking about length, but sometimes long titles they're a mouthful.
Yeah, it can be.
But you just generally.
Well, I mean, we've just done 2 movies so far that have had really long titles, and I've just really liked them. I can't really give you a concrete answer. I like long titles.
The thing that worries me,
I'm not sure. A good one is the Brad Pitt Jesse James movie, which is called The Assassination of Jesse James by the K.L. Robert Ford, which is an absolute mouthful, but I like that too.
the thing that worries me with this is like if I had a mate who was like, oh, what's a good movie you watched recently? I'd stuff this title up. I wouldn't get it first.
True,
I'd be like,
fair.
yeah, I'd be like, oh, I
that's
don't
fair.
feel in this world something. Yeah.
Fortunately, when you type in like I don't, it comes up on IMDb
it
straight
came up
away.
straight away, didn't it?
But
Which was
I
handy.
agree.
Yeah.
The title doesn't stick in my brain at all.
So, do you have any questions for each other? Anything that you want to ask?
I have some questions.
Yeah.
So it was in this movie, and I've seen it a few times, kind of in TV shows and movies. Why do people go to a bar to read a book?
I guess that's the because this was more of a sort of more rural town. I guess it's the cafe version of a rural town.
I just don't get it. Just buy some beer and take it home and sit on your couch. You got no idiots that'll spoil it for you.
People are a bit more social than that sometimes.
What?
Just buy a beer and sit at home.
But she's sitting by herself. She's not talking to anyone.
Oh, yeah.
Like, surely if you're reading a book, then you don't want to be social because you're reading a book.
Sometimes you just want to go out. That's why people would go to a cafe or whatever.
Yeah.
You just want to be out, and in this case, she just wanted to have a beer.
Yeah. And she obviously liked her beer. So she does do that drinking at home as well.
She does,
so
yeah.
Enjoy a beer.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Just don't like it. Yeah.
So
Would never do it. It just seems weird.
when she got robbed at the start, they made a big deal about the pills that were stolen from her, and she never got those pills back. So, like, was there any consequence of her not taking those pills? Or, like, do you reckon that this behaviour wouldn't have happened
That's a great
if she
question.
didn't? If she
Yeah.
had have got another prescription
That's
or
a
something?
really good question.
Fair point.
Because they're all prescription pills.
They
aren't
were, yeah. So maybe none of this out of character stuff for her would have happened if she was actually still
on a
medicated.
medication.
I
Still.
like that theory.
Good. I came out with something good. I like that.
Good.
Did her friend's husband just not like her?
Yeah, they made that very clear as soon as he
for
walked.
I also
reason
got
though.
the feeling that he'd had a long day.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to deal with her
It
shit.
seemed like he walked in and it's kind of like, oh, she's here again.
Yeah, that's
but
what
there's
I
no
felt.
real, but you were never told though why, were we?
No, I got the vibe that
She's
'cause he's had a
always
long
over.
day.
Yeah.
She's like
She's always
annoyed
there,
about
maybe.
something. He's
Yeah.
got his like sandwich that he's eating for dinner that he's
Yeah.
unwrapping. Because then she rang him
When he was giving the kid a bath.
the other day. Yeah, like he wasn't completely rude, but he was just kind of like, oh god.
Yeah.
I actually feel like that was more of a reflection on her past.
Yeah.
Giving you an idea of this is what she'd normally like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like she's always at their place
she's probably
complaining about
always
something.
there, yeah.
And that's why the last scene at the barbecue, he's happily they're having a barbecue with him. So like,
She bought a mate.
yeah,
He's got someone to talk to now.
Good. The cop at one stage, he's like to Ruth, he goes, "The universe doesn't revolve around you." Like to me, that was just like saying, "Hey, this lady deserves someone to look out for her," almost. And I don't know. That was just more a statement than a question, I guess. Yeah.
I want to know why that family had a bodyguard. Like, yeah, they were rich, but at least that was just their house.
True.
Like-
That's a good question.
But without it, then you don't get the clear.
Like,
But yeah, it's it's a
even at
fair
the
point.
end,
Yeah.
like when they actually did come in and
Yeah.
kill everyone, old mate was upstairs having a nap. And the bodyguard
Yeah,
wasn't really helping him there.
yeah. Because we didn't find out what he did as a job, did we? Because I don't think we did. Because I mean, that could have explained why he's got a bodyguard. Maybe he's this important guy. But I'm pretty sure that we never found out. So it does kind of seem weird that he's got this bodyguard.
My last question. This is a bit more deeper.
Ooh.
Do you think that this situation that Ruth went through restored her faith in the world in any way?
Ooh. Restored her faith.
I'm going to say probably not, because Tony was great to her. But
So that's a factor, though.
Yeah, but I just don't feel like there was anyone else that would have restored the faith. Like everyone else she encountered, I don't think would have changed her mind. But maybe Tony was enough to change her mind.
Yeah, I'm not.
But
I
I just think,
definitely don't think it fully restored her faith.
but I think there's probably just too much in favour of. There was still all these shit people.
There's
in
a
the
lot
world.
of arseholes out there.
Yeah, so I just think that would probably overweigh the good that Tony was helping her with.
Yeah, I'm unsure on that as well.
Yeah, I can't answer that because my interpretation of the film was wrong. So
You've gone cold.
well, I'm Devo.
Hey, just back yourself in.
I'm devastated.
Back yourself like you did on Coin Heist.
Did both Ruth and Tony surprise you with their actions? Like from the first half hour of the film, did that surprise you how they changed? I was a little bit shocked that
Not Tony.
well, Tony, you just see it as a guy walking the dog down the street a couple of times, and then the next time you see, he's like, "Wow, bang, 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 bang."
I think the guy walking the dog was a very. As soon as you saw him punching weights, and,
Yeah.
I just got furious that someone burgled him. I'm like, that's Tony. Okay.
Yeah,
But he actually
His nunchucks.
calmed down almost more.
they did. True.
Yeah, he did. He was
Well, then he threw the coffee cup.
Cool. So, are we ready to sort of wrap this up?
I think we are.
So, at the end of our episodes, we go around the table and give a rating out of 5 for what we think about the film. Heather, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. The movie was really funny. It was entertaining. The two leads, I think, were fantastic. And I really enjoyed watching this movie. It was a great time. 3.5 out of 5.
Awesome. I liked it. I thought it was a good film, but at the end, I was like, I think I want a little bit more, and I think maybe you've given me that more and told me what the end actually meant.
welcome.
I thought the performances were great. I thought Elijah Wood was awesome, and yeah, it was well done. It was something that not a film that I hadn't seen before, like a different sort of take on a genre style and those sorts of things. So I too am giving it 3.5 out of 5. MJ.
Well, for me, this was surprisingly enjoyable because I really had no idea what to expect within those first 5 minutes. And I certainly didn't see myself laughing as much as I did, particularly in that first 45 minutes. So I think I was initially a bit bummed when that narrative moved away from the buddy comedy hack vigilante setup. But upon reflection, I did appreciate the risk that first-time director Macon Blair took with this unique story. Job well done. 3.5 stars as well.
Oh wow, we've got a consensus. So we always add
Let me
these.
just use my calculator here and work it all
Peter
out.
needs to work out the average between the
I
three of
reckon
us.
that averaged out to 3.5 out of 5.
So 3.5 out of 5 for. I can't even remember the title of the film. There we go. It's too long.
I don't feel at home in this world anymore. Full stop.
So on social media, we always chuck up a question of the week. This week, I've taken a bit of dialogue from Ruth.
I like it when you take dialogue.
Took dialogue. So one of the questions that she asked was, "What are we doing in this world?" So very philosophical sort of question.
Broad question.
Very broad. What are we doing in this world? And I think that's a question that
Podcasting.
she struggled throughout the movie with. I thought so. MJ's finds this quite funny.
So broad.
It is massively broad. So we're going to put that on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Flix Forum. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're also on YouTube. If you want to listen to us on YouTube, please subscribe if you can. That'd be nice. Give us a 5-star rating.
Check us out on Letterboxd.
Letterboxd. Yeah, I'm Nuggety at Nuggety on Letterboxd.
I think just Nuggety, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Heater, just nice and
Just
easy.
Heater.
Yep.
Pie's Passion.
Pies Passion. So we'll put the links to our Letterboxd in the show notes as well, so you can see those. Next week, we're going to look at another film again. We're looking at the 2017 drama Burning Sands. It's directed by Jared McMurray. It stars Trevor Jackson, Alfre Woodard, Steve Harris, Tazan Cole, Deron Horton, Christian Robinson, Trevonte Rhodes, J.Q. Sorn, and Soraya. Big cast list.
Yeah,
So,
that's because you just pick a bunch of names.
That's because you name everyone in the movie.
No, I don't. I take the top starring.
I think Seven Anyos had 5 people in it. I think you named 8. Didn't you?
Haha, very funny. So if you'd like to hear what we think about Burning Sands next week, subscribe to us and we will have that episode out next week. Been a good one again.
Good movie.
Yeah.
Hey,
real
when's
good.
the last time we all agreed that this movie was good?
Yeah. It's been a few.
We liked Imperial Dreams. That wasn't that long ago, was it?
I'm not sure if MJ liked it
didn't
as
love
much
it.
as we did. Yeah.
I guess.
This was a genuinely
Yeah.
positive conversation about the
Yeah.
film.
Great.
All right, so
Don't see it. Naturally, don't
we,
see it. We just wrote it for you.
well,
Watch it
hopefully
again.
watch again. Maybe pick up on things that we didn't pick up on.
Yeah, let us know.
All right, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you then.
See ya.